Hi guys, welcome to the very first episode of the Blue Kid podcast. As me, your host, Celicia. This podcast is for all the blue kids out there, the sad kids, the happy kids, the frustrated kids. This is for the individuals that are strong enough to fake a smile even when it hurts. I believe no matter how old we all may be, we're all a little kid inside. I wanted to create something that you guys can resonate with. The most raw experiences ever, my personal stories. So with this episode, we are going to actually touch base on perfectionism. And I am going to be very raw and very honest in this. And I really do hope that you guys can take something out of it from my personal experiences. So first thing first, we're going to figure out what does perfectionism actually mean. And when I pull up on Google, this is the definition: a person who refuses to accept any standard short of perfection. And perfectionism in psychology means it's a personality trait characterized by a person's striving for flawlessness and setting excessively high performance standards, accompanied by overly critical self-evaluations and concerns regarding other evaluations. To a perfectionist, anything that's less than perfect is not okay. And I'm being completely honest, because when I am in my workplace and everything and I see someone do something, I'm like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. And it drives me crazy, so I sometimes kind of overwork myself. But without getting any more into that, I'm going to discuss with you guys my earliest memory of being a perfectionist, of what I really remember. I was in high school and I was a fashion design major, and I did my drafts of how I wanted my design to be, redid it over and over and over again. I remember that I would just make it, redo it, take things off, replan it while I'm making it. And, with design, and that could be fine, that could be great. But then I would also kind of analyze my designs with my best friend at the time. And I would notice that whatever she drew, it would come to life. Not one thing would change, at least from what I saw. Not one thing would change. And I inspired to be like that. However, it was so hard for me because I would notice everything wrong. So again, being very self-critical. And maybe because I also have like a Virgo rising. But, I just realized things need to be a certain way. And that was the earliest memory that I had of really being a perfectionist. From there, it just kept on going on and on and on. Things have to be correct. And sometimes it gets so bad to the part that things have to be so correct that I don't finish it. And that's where I feel my thing with starting things and not finishing them came from. I don't really remember why it started. I don't know. It probably was embedded in me ever since I was probably born or whatnot. I don't know. But I slowly realized this was ruining my life. And at first, I really thought that this was a good trait. I was proud to be a perfectionist. Call me a perfectionist. I will put that on my resume. I would tell everybody, yeah, I'm a perfectionist. Things have to be this way. And people would applaud it, but I guess they just didn't see the negative connotations to being a perfectionist. People would see the end result, but I would be the one beating myself up. Because at the end of the day, I would be left with, oh, I could have done that better. Or just overly criticizing. It would just become unhealthy talk, just leading to anxiety and all those things. So with me being perfect, trying to be perfect, I'm not perfect, trust me, I noticed it was ruining my life. It was ruining my personal relationships. It was ruining my opportunities. I was just ruining everything for myself. And maybe I really knocked myself out for many things. But then also with my perfectionism, it kind of got me opportunities. But it still really slowed me down. It really stopped me. I started to have control issues in my life. I don't really remember how it started. I don't know where it came from, but I wanted to actually control every aspect in my life, everything. And I'm not God. So I don't know. And it's really hard. I know there's many of us out there that can probably resonate with that, of trying to take control of every part of your life. When certain things would happen, I just wouldn't have a thing for it. I would just not be okay with it. I remember I would use these control issues, just being a control freak. Me being a control freak, I would use that in a lot of aspects of my life with people that I was around. I'm not going to be with those type of people. I just started to be very negative. I feel like with me being a perfectionist, at least who I was about 2 years ago, of how that looked, I was just very negative. I was very cocky. I was very ego. It was just, no, it was not okay. It just became toxic for me. And with my relationships with the people, I said I would not be around X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z appeared in my life either way. And alhamdulillah, because honestly, I feel like sometimes we wouldn't really know who we are unless a situation pops up in our life. And I feel like it was kind of like Allah telling me, hey, Celicia, calm down. Who do you think you are? You think you think you control this ship? No, you don't. So, I was really having perfectionism be the vehicle of my life and feeling like I was entitled to certain things. Yeah, it just got very, very ugly for me. And I think last year, the year 2020, which was a year for, I know, all of us to reflect on, and I hope that all you guys are alright, inshallah. Just in case if my viewers, whoever that's listening, don't understand what I'm saying, when I say inshallah, just means God willing. I am Muslim, so that's what I'm talking about. Just hoping that you guys are all okay. Yeah, the year 2020, that's when I really reflected and I realized these certain issues, and that I thought that was okay the whole entire time, and it wasn't. But going back on about what I said about living with this idea of perfectionism, it really affects my life so badly, to the part I would make excuses. I don't know if you guys may know this or not, but perfectionism does have a link with procrastination. And for me personally, how it has affected me was that with my spirituality, I would say, oh, I need to clean my room in order for me to pray. I need to do this. I need to do that. Or even my prayer area, I need to clean my prayer area. I need to clean this. And then, or I would say, okay, today I'm going to pray. Today I'm going to pray. And then I would have to just clean my prayer area. But then it turns to, I need to clean my whole room. And then it turns into, I'm going to clean the bathroom. Then it turns into, I'm going to clean the kitchen. I'm going to clean the living room. I'm going to clean the whole place. Okay? By the time you know it, it's already Isha, which is, for my viewers that may not know what I'm talking about, it's the fifth prayer, the last prayer of the night. And I just been like this all day. And at this moment, I'm just I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to go pray. Or I'm too tired to pray. And there's a bigger thing behind that. It's a bigger thing behind that, because it's not the fact of being a perfectionist. It's not also probably the fact of procrastinating. It's the fact of ignoring and trying to stall away from what would make me truly happy, but kind of make me uncomfortable in some way, because I have taken a long break from actually praying. I know for some of you guys could probably kind of resonate with that a little bit in your own personal life, of how that can apply to you. But yeah, I've been struggling with this for a while, and This podcast, it is about, how to deal with perfectionism. And me being a perfectionist, I'm just telling you, like, hey, it's gonna take a while. I struggle with perfectionism every single day of my life. From the time I wake up to the time I sleep. It's really hard for me. I've been trying to find a way, and I've noticed a few things that have personally worked for me, and I'm gonna share that with you guys, and hopefully you guys can use this advice. So the biggest thing that I realized was to be mindful of your thoughts. Once I realized being mindful of my thoughts, and the only reason why I'm able to truly make this podcast is because I'm being honest with myself. I am listening to my own thoughts. I am examining, analyzing my own thoughts, and really noticing the pattern of what's being said. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm gonna do that. And then, oh, this comes up. Oh, that comes up. Oh, I've got to do this. And I'm actually truly distracting myself from the bigger picture here. So being mindful of my thoughts and the associated feelings that comes along with it. So I realized that when I say, oh, I need to clean my room in order for myself to pray, I feel a bit of anxiety. I'm not a saint, guys. I doubt all of us are any saints out there, truly. And if you are, hey, okay. But I feel like me going back to God, there's so much that I have to talk to you about. But then there's anxiety of if I don't do this, or I need to make sure I do this. And I don't know how to explain it. It gets very, very frustrating. I feel a sense of frustration, a sense of anxiety that builds up, especially once it gets closer to when I'm almost done cleaning. Because I know at the end of the day, in the back of my head, that, hey, you're supposed to pray. And I create another excuse, or I'm too tired. This is where I say perfectionism holds me back. But I'm also not going to blame perfectionism. I will blame myself from holding myself back. That I am not a victim to perfectionism. I feel like sometimes we really victimize ourselves using perfectionism, saying, hey, perfectionism has stopped me from living my life. And yes, it has. But I think it's bigger than that. I think it's that we need to learn to rewire our thinking, rewire the way we think, and really start living ourselves and not have perfectionism or other things be the vehicle of our lives. Also with that of figuring out how to deal with perfectionism, I learned to be aware of my own self, to be aware of my being, be aware of my consciousness, to understand myself truthfully, to be at truth with myself at all times, or at least 95% of the times. With that, with being honest with yourself, you can actually truly start living. You would actually stop yourself from missing out those great opportunities or messing up those great relationships, personal relationships, or, business opportunities, whatever it is. But I'm not going to just sit here and also say the whole victimizing thing with being a perfectionist. Perfectionism is a thing. It's a real thing. Just like anxiety and OCD and whatnot. For us that probably don't take it as seriously, I feel like we should really take it as seriously. Because this could be really hurting us, potentially. For me personally, I've realized how it has affected my life. How I get crazy when things are not the way it's supposed to be. How I build anxiety, and sometimes that could lead into depression. But that's also a separate subject itself. Yeah, it formulates into different things. It leaks onto different surfaces. In order for us to really take care of our being and do the things that we really want to do, we first have to be honest we have to be honest, guys. I'm being honest with you guys. Like, honestly, before this whole podcast, before I press the record button, I literally was doing so many things before I even recorded. I was kind of distracting myself. This is a real testimony, guys, from a perfectionist. I was really distracting myself because I was a little nervous. I had anxiety. I didn't know really what I was going to say, but I knew that I had to say it. I knew that I had to share. I know that there's a lot of us out there that really need a voice. So for all the blue kids out there, I wanted to be that voice and be honest and raw with you guys and tell you guys, like, you're not alone. Like, this is a real thing. Yeah. I took that courage. I took the courage to press the record button. I took the courage to just get on here and start talking to you guys. I really did it to not make things just surface level, but to really get into detail. I've really, really, truly want this out of my life. Like, as of right now, guys, I'm telling you guys this advice, and just let you know, I'm really using it. But as of right now, I've realized, like, I've been using it one step at a time in my life. One step at a time. Specifically regarding my spirituality, I haven't really taken many steps towards that. And I think that's the thing that scares me the most, is because I haven't taken the time to really do that. It's so hard, to be, like, very vulnerable on the internet, but I'm gonna break that barrier because I can help someone. I can really help someone. So I don't know what it is, but there is huge, like, scary feeling that I feel when I don't pray. I stop myself. I create those excuses. The most funniest thing is that I feel the most like myself and the most happiest when I do it, when I do pray. It is a form of meditation for me. It is a form of getting closer to God and everything like that, but I feel my most self with it. However, it's the most hardest thing for me to do in my life right now at this moment, which is very confusing. But yeah, it's really, really hard. And it could be procrastination. It could be being a perfectionist, of that I possibly need my life to be sorted out in a way before I go pray, which is unreal. God did not make us perfect. We are not perfect. We are human beings. We make mistakes. And I'm constantly trying to, like, take this lesson in my life every single day, every single year, every single month, that I am human. I make mistakes like everyone else. And that God knows my intentions. It's so hard. It's really, really hard. Because I have this notion in my head of that I need to be a certain way in order to get closer to God, or in order to pray. It's not just my space, but it's also my life. It's not only my life, it's also my way of thinking. It's so many factors that play into it. And yeah, like, that's the biggest thing that comes with, my spirituality and being a perfectionist, and how it has truly ruined that area in my life. But I'm gonna try to practice to stop saying that it has ruined my life, because I am recreating my life through my experiences of being a perfectionist, and I am creating something new and more beautiful than what perfectionism brought into my life. I hope you guys understood what I was saying. Anyway, besides that, I used perfectionism in so many different ways. Like, I was procrastinating, posting creative things online that I really wanted to. I would just make excuses, or I just wouldn't try as hard as I would really want to. For any of you guys out there that live life by woulda, coulda, shoulda, stop. I'm letting you guys know, stop right there and focus on the present. Focus on what you can do in this exact moment. You can think about the future, however, think about the present, because that's what you have control over of right now, in this moment, in this time. I had a hard time posting, and I mentioned this in my other video about like it took me like about, 2 years or something like that to really post something. But also I was redefining my life. I was reevaluating my life. I was changing as a person, and my interests changed. So that's one of the reasons why I'm having a reconstruction channel or what sort. Because these are things that I feel like that was more, that's truly me. To all my perfectionists out there, if you live life with no room to make mistakes, you are truly limiting yourself to a version of yourself. Well, a version of you that has no room to grow. There's beauty in making mistakes. And when you understand that life does go on even after making that silly mistake or huge ass mistake, it's okay. That mistake is not the be all and end all. When it comes to putting your things out there, just do it. Even when it feels unfinished, don't limit yourself to just your head. Once you limit yourself and stay stuck in your head, you don't allow for yourself to open doorways for opportunities. So for those that probably might sit on that and think on that and think about the what, woulda, shoulda, coulda, just know that right now, in this moment, in this time, you are taking the steps to not be in your head so much and to let go of that perfectionism, let go of things are not just quite right, let go of this has to be a certain way, let go of this feels unfinished, let go of it all and just let it out, let it be free, let it do what it's supposed to do. Stop holding yourself back. Stop making excuses. Understand that life does not always serve the things we order. There's beauty in it though, Sometimes the unknown, uncertainty, and the randomness is the means for all of our personal chaos. It's okay that things don't work out the way that we plan them to be. We can make our own plans. However, we have to be open to the fact that we will get the end result that we want only if it is meant for us. And most importantly, not always in the way we imagined it to be or imagined it to have been done. I have to remind myself this constantly. It's with the smaller things that create the bigger impacts. So the notion of reminding myself this constantly every single day would give me a greater effect in my life, with helping me with the struggle of having things to be a certain way. One of the biggest areas in my life that I realized perfectionism has taken like a huge toll on me, besides my spirituality, is my workplace. Sometimes with being a perfectionist also, it makes me kind of overwork myself. Sometimes I take on more than I should, but I feel like if you're gonna do something, you do it right. So, with all honesty, it's kind of hard. I do it almost every day, but I am living with being a perfectionist, and I am dealing with being a perfectionist. I am working the best way I can in this moment, in this present time, and I'm not having perfectionism take over my life. I'm not having perfectionism be my be-all, end-all. I am taking the courage to just do things, to just do it. I am not stopping myself from these opportunities anymore. Whether it's meeting new people that may not fit the standards of my ideal perfection, or praying to get closer to my highest source, or even improving my work performance so that I can open myself up to different possibilities, not for the company itself, but for me, for myself. I believe everything starts with us. Everything starts with you, with me, with how we align our thinking with reality and the outside world. I feel like I have put my perfectionism down a little notch, because there's sometimes it could be great, but then there's times that it could be very awful and it could hurt me. And I'm living it day by day. I'm working on it day by day and really, really trying. For those that are still here and still listening, just to reflect on what I said about how to deal with being a perfectionist, dealing with perfectionism is the number one thing, is to be mindful of your thoughts, of the associated feelings that comes along with it, being aware of your own self, and to just do things and to not think about it. If you wanted to, if you wanted to become a astronaut and you wanted to study for it or something, like, just do it. You know what, let me bring you to a more realistic thing, I guess. Like, for example, if you wanted to get your license, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is a little note to myself. If you wanted to get your license and you feel like, okay, in order to get my license, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I have to be perfect in order to actually take the test and do this, and if I don't be perfect in parking parallel, if I'm not perfect in knowing every single little detail that there is to know, then what's the point of getting my license? Let's just stop ourselves. Let's take a step back and stop ourselves and just say, hey, we got this. Let's take it one step at a time. Study, get the manual. Then from there, get your permit. Then from there, do the 5-hour classes. Then from there, get your license or do practice lessons before actually doing the road test. And it just goes on. And just a little thing like that of getting your license, I would just use as an analogy to our perfectionism, how to handle our perfectionism with just handling things one step at a time and not letting us stir up anxiety. For some of us that may be listening out there, they might feel that they may not possibly relate, and I feel like there's different spectrums to perfectionism. For some of us, it may have anxiety, depression, and a lot of things all bundled up with it. And for some of us, we might not view perfectionism like that in our lives. It's either in denial, or it can be possibly that you might not even have that. You just notice that you're very peculiar. Or it may just be that it just doesn't exist for you personally. At least not in the way that I speak of perfectionism, and that's completely okay. We are all figuring it out ourselves of what perfectionism looks like in our own life, so it's okay. If it works for you with some of the things that I mentioned, whether you're on, I would say, the lower spectrum of perfectionism or the highest level of perfectionism, whatever that may look like to you, then that is great. I really did forget to mention that I do believe that with the idea of being perfect, or perfection, it does come with overthinking things. I do believe that there is a relationship between overthinking and perfectionism. So what I have personally told myself is to just do it. Just do the things that I said I want to do and don't create excuses for it. It is better to have done it than to not have done it. Just do things and just don't think about it. Just do it, because once you get in your head, you're in your head and you're not living your life. And what's life living when it's just in your head? And especially if you have great capabilities and you're amazing and whatnot, you're just being selfish. You're just keeping it to yourself and you're just keeping it in your head. Let it be free. Let it do what's supposed to do. Something that I feel like I possibly did forget to mention about perfectionism, of how to handle perfectionism. This is a little bonus tip for you guys. If you haven't learned anything at all through this podcast, at least learn this, at least digest this. It is to be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. You are not a robot. You are human. Okay, guys, so I think I'm going to end it here. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Blue Kid podcast, talking about how to deal with perfectionism. I hope that you apply the many things that I have mentioned in this podcast. Join the conversation down in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. You guys make sure to like, subscribe, click that bell button so you don't miss out, and follow me on my social media at amor.mode. That is amor.mode. And I will see you guys in my next episode, and thank you so much for being here. Bye.